did you know that there's a stone forest on Earth? In China's Yunnan province, you'll find one of the most unique natural phenomena, the shilin, or stone forest. This astonishing forest isn't made of trees, but of towering limestone pillars that rise towards the sky like jagged spikes of rock. The age of this extraordinary forest is over 270 million years. Erosion from rain and wind has sculpted the rocks into such bizarre shapes. For centuries, people have attributed mystical powers to this place, and local legends claim that spirits of nature inhabit Shilin. It's so majestic and mysterious, it almost looks like a set from a fantasy movie. Did you know ice can take more than one familiar form? We usually think of ice as frozen water, but did you know there are over 17 different types of ice? The most common type we encounter daily is known as ice. However, depending on pressure and temperature, water can form other crystalline structures, each with unique properties. For example, under high pressure, water can turn into hexagonal or even cubic ice. These forms of ice occur in nature under rare conditions, such as deep ocean trenches or on icy moons. This shows how incredibly versatile and complex water molecules are, adapting to various environments. Can you imagine that on Mercury, the year is shorter than the day? On Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun, time works in a completely different way than on Earth. It takes only 88 Earth days for Mercury to complete a full orbit around the Sun, but one full rotation on its axis takes 176 Earth days. This means that on Mercury, one day lasts twice as long as a year. Can you imagine living on a planet where morning and evening are separated by months? This astonishing fact makes Mercury one of the most peculiar planets in our solar system. Why do lightning bolts often strike the same place? Lightning strikes tend to favor certain spots. For example, Lake Victoria in Africa is one of the most lightning-prone places in the world. Why does this happen? It's due to unique climate conditions that create almost continuous thunderstorms. Warm air rising from the lake's surface meets cooler air currents, triggering constant electrical discharges. Here's what's even more interesting. Lightning can strike the same place several times in a short period, and it's not a myth. Researchers found that high ground conductivity also plays a key role in attracting lightning to specific spots. How would you react if you found out there is an underwater museum in Greece? In the Aegean Sea, near the coast of Greece, there is a unique underwater museum. This archaeological site allows visitors to dive with scuba gear and explore ancient shipwrecks and artifacts lying on the seabed. It is the first underwater museum of its scale and attracts both history enthusiasts and divers from around the world. Did you know that ants never sleep? Ants are the real workaholics of the insect world. These amazing tiny creatures seem like they are non-stop working machines, constantly on the go without ever pausing to rest. But the truth is, ants don't sleep the way we do. Instead, they take short breaks throughout the day to recharge their energy. Their remarkable strength and impressive teamwork make them one of the most successful and efficient species on Earth. It's truly mind-blowing when you realize just how resilient they are. Can you imagine? Your blood vessels could wrap around the Earth twice. Have you ever wondered how complex the human circulatory system is? If you laid out all the blood vessels in your body end to end, they would stretch about 96,000 kilometers, enough to wrap around the Earth twice. This intricate network of arteries, veins, and capillaries is vital for transporting blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. This amazing feat of nature highlights just how complex and beautifully designed our bodies are. Now that you know this fact, you can marvel even more at how your body works. Believe it or not, the world's smallest volcano is just 13 meters high. The smallest volcano in the world is called Cuexcomate, located in Puebla, Mexico. This tiny volcano stands only 13 meters tall and has a width of 8 meters, making it quite miniature compared to others. It was formed in 1064 due to an eruption from the nearby Popocatépetl volcano. While Cuexcomate is classified as dormant, it sometimes releases steam and sulfur gases, reminding visitors of its volcanic nature. Fun fact, you can actually climb this volcano, making it a perfect adventure for those looking to scale a pint-sized peak. Is it true that in Argentina there is a river that burns? The Quiricura River in Argentina is famous for its unusual fiery phenomena. Periodically, fiery geysers erupt from its depths. This happens due to underground methane deposits, which ignite when they come into contact with air. Amazingly, this river is not only a beautiful natural phenomenon, but also raises concerns among scientists, as constant gas emissions could signal larger natural disasters. Locals call it the River of Spirits, linking it to ancient legends. Did you know the ancient Inca city could withstand earthquakes? Machu Picchu, the famous Inca city, was built using an ingenious technology that allowed it to withstand earthquakes. Located in a highly seismic zone, the Incas used a technique called ashlar masonry, where stones were so precisely cut that they fit together without mortar. During an earthquake, the stones could move slightly and then return to their original positions, keeping the structures intact. This brilliant engineering made the Incas true masters of ancient architecture. Did you know that olive oil can help fight cancer? Extra virgin olive oil contains an incredible compound called oleocanthal, which has the remarkable ability to destroy cancer cells without harming healthy ones. This natural wonder shows how food can act as medicine, offering a gentle yet powerful defense against cancer. Oleocanthal targets cancer cells at a molecular level, making olive oil a potential ally in the fight against various cancers. So, next time you enjoy olive oil, remember that it's not just a tasty ingredient, but also a natural healer. How would you react if you found out that snails can sleep for up to 3 years? Some species of snails can enter a deep sleep called estivation to survive harsh conditions like extreme drought or lack of food. During this time, they slow down almost all their bodily functions and seal themselves inside their shells with a protective layer. This state of dormancy can last for up to 3 years, allowing them to wait out unfavorable conditions until the environment becomes more hospitable. It's like going to sleep and waking up years later, only to find that the world around you has changed completely. Peanuts aren't nuts, they're legumes. You might be surprised to learn that, botanically speaking, peanuts aren't actually nuts. Peanuts belong to the legume family like peas, beans, and lentils. Unlike true nuts, such as walnuts and almonds, peanuts grow underground and don't have a hard shell enclosing a single seed. A nut, in botanical terms, is a dry fruit with a hard shell, but peanuts don't fit that definition. Even though we often think of them as nuts, they're technically closer to peas and beans, but with a unique taste all their own. Who would have thought that giraffe spots are like fingerprints? Giraffes are not only majestic creatures, but they also have a unique feature. Each giraffe's spot pattern is as individual as a human fingerprint. No two giraffes have the same spot configuration, which makes them truly one of a kind. These spots serve more than just an aesthetic function. They help regulate body temperature in the hot savanna and assist in social recognition within their groups. So next time you see a giraffe, remember that its spots are as unique as your fingerprint. Did you know that kangaroos have a spare pregnancy? Kangaroos have an amazing ability that's truly astonishing. Female kangaroos can delay the development of an embryo for several months if the conditions aren't favorable for the birth of a joey. This process is called embryonic diapause. Imagine that a kangaroo can literally put its pregnancy on hold if it's already caring for a young joey or if there isn't enough food. When conditions improve, the embryo continues its development. This biological marvel helps kangaroos survive in Australia's harsh and unpredictable climate. It's hard to believe, but there's a city in Italy with no streets. Venice, Italy, is a city without traditional streets. There are only canals, and boats are the primary mode of transportation. Streets, as we know them, simply don't exist. Movement around the city is entirely water-based, making Venice unique among other cities in the world. Tourists travel by gondola or water taxi, enjoying the romantic atmosphere of this city on the water. Venice is one of those rare examples where the city has adapted to the constant presence of water. It turns out the world's smallest reptile is the size of a fingertip. The world's smallest reptile is the leaf chameleon, native to Madagascar. This tiny creature measures only 29 millimeters from nose to tail, smaller than a fingertip. Despite its minuscule size, male leaf chameleons boast bright green and orange patterns, while the females have elegant shades of brown and beige. Discovered in 2012, This remarkable species continues to amaze scientists with its tiny yet colorful existence. Did you know that Neptune was discovered using math? Neptune is the only planet whose existence was predicted through mathematical calculations before it was seen through a telescope. In the 19th century, astronomers noticed that Uranus's orbit didn't match expectations, and they hypothesized that this was caused by the gravitational pull of an unknown planet. After calculations and extensive observation, Neptune was discovered, marking a triumph of science. This fact shows how powerful math is. It helped discover an entire planet long before it could be seen. Did you know that in China there is a living bridge entirely made from tree roots? In China's Guizhou province, there is a unique bridge created not by humans, but by nature itself. Local villagers directed the growth of tree roots in such a way that they formed a sturdy bridge capable of holding the weight of several people. This process took decades, and now the bridge has become a symbol of harmony between people and nature. Scientists consider it one of the most outstanding examples of natural architecture, and it is still used by locals to cross rivers and streams. Why does freshly cut grass smell so good? The fresh scent of newly mowed grass is actually a distress signal. When grass is cut, it releases chemicals to warn nearby plants of danger. These compounds, known as green leaf volatiles, are a plant's way of signaling that it has been injured. This remarkable mechanism highlights the sophisticated communication that exists even in the plant world. So, the next time you enjoy the smell of cut grass, remember, it's nature's way of calling for help. Can you imagine that trees can make it rain? Yes, trees not only produce oxygen but also help form rain clouds. This happens through a process called transpiration. When trees release water vapor through their leaves, the vapor rises into the atmosphere, where it condenses and forms rain clouds. This natural process shows just how essential trees are to maintaining the water cycle on our planet. Every forest is not only a source of oxygen, but also a key part of the water cycle, without which Earth would be a very different place. The chewing gum pack that changed retail forever. Imagine that the first product ever sold with a barcode was a pack of Wrigley's chewing gum. This historic event took place on June 26, 1974, in a supermarket in Ohio. This moment marked the beginning of a new era in retail, where barcodes became standard for simplifying shopping and inventory tracking. Barcodes quickly became a global standard and are still used in every store today. So the next time you buy something with a barcode, remember that it all started with a simple pack of chewing gum. Tiny plants' mighty power. Half of Earth's oxygen comes from the ocean. The oxygen we breathe is not only created by forests, but also by tiny marine organisms like plankton, algae, and seaweed. These little factories produce more than half of the planet's oxygen through photosynthesis. Thanks to sunlight, they transform carbon dioxide into oxygen, which is vital for all living beings on Earth. This amazing fact reminds us of the importance of the oceans and their role in sustaining life on our planet. Did you know there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on Earth? Surprisingly, there are more stars in the universe than all the grains of sand on every beach on Earth. This cosmic fact highlights the unimaginable vastness of our universe. When you look at the night sky, there are billions and billions of stars, each potentially home to planets we know nothing about yet. Our place in the cosmos feels even more humbling when you realize that stars fill the space far beyond what we can even imagine. Why can the leaves of giant water lilies support a person's weight? The leaves of giant water lilies, like the Amazonian Victoria, can grow over 3 meters in diameter and hold up to 70 kilograms. Their structure resembles a strong network that distributes weight evenly, preventing the leaf from sinking. These plants are true wonders of nature and have become popular in botanical gardens worldwide thanks to their beauty and remarkable strength. Why does Italy have a bell tower that sings? In the quiet town of Cefalù, Sicily, stands an unusual bell tower that produces melodic sounds when the wind whistles through it. This effect is created by narrow slits in the tower's structure that transform the airflow into music resembling organ sounds. Locals call it the voice of the tower, believing it preserves the memory of ancient times. Tourists from around the world come to hear this unique melody on cloudy, windy days, filling the streets with a mystical sound. Is it possible? Paper can be stronger than steel. Special technologies can create what is known as paper armor, which, when treated properly, becomes stronger than steel. For example, Japanese washi paper, used in some bulletproof vests, can withstand impacts that ordinary paper couldn't handle. This paper is treated with resins and layered, making it incredibly durable. Amazingly, paper can be used for protection just like metal, thanks to these technologies. The story of the word, dude. From insult to friendly greeting. The word dude first appeared in the 1800s as a derogatory term for men who were overly concerned with fashion. But over time, its meaning shifted, and by the mid-20th century, it became a casual term for addressing friends or even strangers. Today, dude is a friendly word that can refer to almost anyone and has become a staple of everyday slang. Who would have thought that a word that started as an insult would end up as a friendly greeting? Did you know there's a banana you shouldn't eat? In Hawaii, a unique type of banana called the plantain banana grows, which, despite its appetizing appearance, is not meant to be eaten. It tastes very bitter, somewhat like a potato. Locals use it for weaving traditional crafts rather than food. Tourists are often surprised by these bananas, but the locals are quick to warn, don't try eating them. Did you know that the world's longest hair measures over 18 feet? A Chinese woman named Shi Quping holds the Guinness World Record for the longest hair, which measures a staggering 5.62 meters. That's about 18 feet and 5 inches. She began growing her hair at the age of 13 in 1973 and hasn't cut it since. Taking care of such long hair is no easy task. She spends hours every week washing it and at least 2 hours just combing it. Sometimes she braids her hair or wraps it around herself to make moving easier. This record has remained unbeatable for decades. Hyundai logo. What do the shaking hands hide? Have you ever wondered what the Hyundai logo means? It's not just an H on an oval background. If you look closely, you'll notice that the logo resembles two people shaking hands. This symbol represents Hyundai's commitment to building trusting relationships between the company and its customers. The oval surrounding the letter symbolizes the brand's global ambitions, while the handshake is a sign of successful cooperation. Since its inception, Hyundai has emphasized quality, reliability, and customer satisfaction, and their logo reflects this philosophy. So the next time you see a Hyundai car on the road, remember that the symbol is more than just a logo. It's a story of trust and partnership. And can you believe the world's fastest roller coaster hits 240 kilometers per hour? The Formula Rossa in Abu Dhabi, UAE, holds the title of the world's fastest roller coaster. It accelerates to an astonishing 240 kilometers per hour, about 150 miles per hour, in just 4.9 seconds. With a track length of 2.2 kilometers and a height of 52 meters, this ride is a thrill-seeker's dream. The coaster is modeled after a Ferrari race car, and riders are required to wear protective goggles to shield their eyes from the high-speed wind. Buckle up and prepare for the ride of a lifetime. Who would have thought that King Louis the Fourteenth ruled for 72 years? Louis the Fourteenth, also known as the Sun King, holds the record for the longest reign in the history of monarchy. He ruled France for 72 years and 110 days, from 1643 to 1715. This incredible reign surpasses all other monarchs in history. During his time, France became the cultural heart of Europe, and Louis himself became the symbol of absolute power. Long live the king who ruled longer than any other. Can you believe that 3% of Antarctica's ice is penguin urine? It may sound strange, but it's true. Scientists have determined that about 3% of Antarctic ice is made up of penguin urine. In the extreme cold of Antarctica, urine doesn't evaporate as it would in warmer climates. Instead, it remains on the surface and eventually freezes, becoming part of the ice. This unusual fact shows just how unique this continent is and how its natural conditions create truly unexpected phenomena. Hard to believe, but some bacteria can survive in space. Scientists have discovered that some types of bacteria can survive in outer space. In 2020, Japanese researchers conducted an experiment on the International Space Station, where bacteria from the Deinococcus genus were exposed to the outside of the station for 3 years. These tiny organisms endured extreme conditions in space, such as radiation, vacuum, and temperature fluctuations. All of this is possible thanks to their unique cellular defense mechanisms that repair DNA damage. Can you imagine such small organisms surviving conditions that would be fatal to humans? This discovery opens up new possibilities for life beyond Earth. Antarctica is the largest desert on Earth. Antarctica, despite all its ice and snow, is actually the largest desert in the world. Yes, you heard that right. The criteria that define a desert are low levels of precipitation, and in Antarctica, very little moisture falls. The average annual precipitation in some parts of the continent is similar to that of the Sahara. This makes Antarctica a true ice desert, where endless ice fields stretch instead of scorching sands. This fact highlights that deserts come in many forms, both hot and cold, and nature always has a surprise in store. Isn't it interesting that hedgehogs can swim? These little spiky creatures don't seem built for water, but they are surprisingly good swimmers. Hedgehogs can not only swim, but also hold their breath underwater. They puff up like little rafts and can cross rivers and lakes if necessary. Although they don't often need to, the ability to swim helps them survive in the wild, proving that even the smallest creatures can be great adventurers. Blindsight. How can someone see without realizing it? Imagine being blind but still being able to see movements and objects. This phenomenon is known as blind sight. It occurs in people with damage to the visual cortex. Even though they don't see in the conventional sense, they can intuitively detect the location of objects and even guess where they are moving. How is this possible? Other parts of the brain are still able to process visual information. This fascinating phenomenon makes us wonder about how much our brain does in the background without us even being aware of it. Did you know that medieval winemakers used ton as a measurement? In the Middle Ages, the term ton was a standard unit of measurement used to quantify wine. 1 ton referred to the volume of wine that could fill a large cask. This old unit of measurement was integral to the wine trade across Europe, shaping commerce and trade routes. Today, the term may seem outdated, but its legacy lives on in the language of winemakers and traders, reminding us of how ancient practices have shaped modern traditions. How about the longest word with just 1 vowel? Did you know that the word strengths is the longest word in the English language with only 1 vowel? It's fascinating, as this word is not only powerful in meaning, but also unique in its structure. It proves that even the simplest words can be incredibly complex when looked at from a different perspective. Next time you use this word, pay attention to its uniqueness. It's a small linguistic puzzle. Is it possible? The world's longest staircase is on a mountain. Located on Mount Nianboyartsa in China, there is a staircase stretching approximately 9 kilometers with over 7,000 steps. The climb takes several hours and requires physical endurance, but the view from the top is worth all the effort. Every year, thousands of tourists take this path to see the incredible landscapes visible only from high above. The amazing world of skin. More microbes than people on Earth. There are more microorganisms living on your skin than there are people on the planet. This living ecosystem of bacteria, fungi, and other microbes is called the skin microbiome. And while the thought of billions of organisms living on your skin might sound alarming, they actually play an important role in protecting your body. These microbes help keep your skin healthy, fight infections, and maintain the balance of your body's ecosystem. So the next time you think about cleanliness, remember, your skin is home to an army of tiny helpers. Did you know that the pale blue dot is a photo of Earth taken from 6 billion kilometers away? This iconic image of our planet was captured by the Voyager 1 spacecraft in 1990 from a distance of 3.7 billion miles, or 6 billion kilometers. In the photo, Earth appears as a tiny, barely visible dot in the vast expanse of space. It reminds us of how small and vulnerable our planet is in the grand scale of the universe, prompting reflection on our place in the world. Is it true that the Olympics once included art competitions? From 1912 to 1948, the Olympic Games did indeed award medals to artists, composers, sculptors, and architects. During this era, art competed alongside sports, and medals were awarded for artistic disciplines such as sculpture, painting, music, and even architecture. This blend of sports and art symbolized that physical strength and creative talent could go hand in hand. Although there is no art segment in the Olympics today, this part of history evokes admiration and nostalgia for a time when artistic achievements were recognized on par with athletic feats. Is it possible that giraffes only sleep 30 minutes a day? These incredible animals can survive on minimal sleep. Giraffes sleep for only about 30 minutes a day, and they even do it standing up. They have a special mechanism that allows them to rest in short intervals of a few minutes to avoid predators. With such long legs, they can quickly spot approaching danger. Did you know that astronauts can't burp in space? In the absence of gravity, our bodily functions behave very differently than on Earth. One of the strange effects is that astronauts cannot burp in space. On Earth, gravity helps separate gas from food in the stomach, allowing us to release air. But in space, without gravity, gases remain mixed with liquids, making burping impossible. In fact, if astronauts tried to drink carbonated beverages, it could lead to rather unpleasant results. It's a small reminder of how much gravity influences our everyday functions and how amazing our bodies are in space conditions. Why can toads live far from water? Ever wondered what makes toads different from frogs? One of the key differences is their habitat. Frogs need to stay near water because their skin requires moisture to breathe. Toads, however, have thicker skin that allows them to retain moisture and live away from water. So if you spot an amphibian in your backyard, it's more likely to be a toad than a frog. These adaptations help toads survive in drier places, making them true masters of land survival. Why do the leaves of some plants glow? In the dark forests of New Zealand, you can find a remarkable plant called glow moss, which emits a faint blue-green light in the dark. This phenomenon, known as bioluminescence, attracts insects that help spread its spores. Travelers who have seen it with their own eyes say the glowing moss looks like magical lights in a nighttime forest, as if they have stepped into a fantasy world. This natural lamp adds an enchanting and mystical touch to the forest. Did you know that the Tower of London was once bright white? In the Middle Ages, the Tower of London wasn't gray as it is today, but instead it was covered with a white plaster, earning it the nickname White Tower. At that time, white plaster symbolized strength and purity. Every few years, the tower was repainted to maintain its bright appearance. Over time, the coating wore away, and the tower became gray due to dirt and pollution. But once, it really was a gleaming white pearl on the London skyline. Did you know the largest diamond in the world weighed more than 3,000 carats? The Cullinan diamond, found in 1905 in South Africa, is the largest diamond ever discovered. It weighed a staggering 3,160 carats. This unique gem was divided into several pieces, some of which adorn the British royal regalia. This diamond is a true wonder of nature, and its size is simply breathtaking. Why is Mauna Kea volcano 10 times taller than Everest? Mauna Kea on Hawaii is not just a volcano, but a towering structure that extends deep below the ocean's surface. Its above-water section is over 4,000 meters tall, but its underwater slopes stretch even further. Taking the full height of Mauna Kea from base to summit, it measures over 10,000 meters, making it far taller than Everest. Though its peak is hidden underwater, Mauna Kea is one of the tallest mountains on Earth. Is it possible? In Tokyo, there is an inverted tower that goes more than 60 floors underground. The Japanese are known for their engineering ingenuity, and the inverted tower project is one of the most ambitious. This tower, unlike traditional skyscrapers, goes deep underground instead of soaring into the sky. Built in the dense urban landscape, it is an innovative solution for creating new office and living spaces in a land-scarce environment. Imagine walking down the street and below you there's a whole underground city. The first computer mouse was made of wood. In 1964, Douglas Engelbart invented the first computer mouse, and it was made of wood. This device, with 2 metal wheels, revolutionized how humans interact with computers. Today, modern mice are much more advanced, but that wooden mouse remains a landmark in computer history. Is it true that most dust is dead skin? Imagine that every day you shed millions of skin cells that turn into dust in your home. Dead skin cells make up a significant portion of household dust, along with clothing fibers, hair, and pollen. On average, a person loses about 200 million skin cells every hour. Of course, this doesn't sound very pleasant, but nature has designed your skin to constantly renew itself. In fact, one of the oils on your skin, squalene, helps reduce the harmful effects of ozone in the air, making your skin's microbiome a true protector of your environment. So, the next time you're wiping down dust, remember, you're essentially cleaning away your yesterday cells that have already served their purpose. Amazing how the body continually renews itself and maintains balance with the environment. Did you know that the world's smallest mammal weighs less than a penny? The bumblebee bat holds the record as the world's smallest mammal, weighing less than a penny. Native to Southeast Asia, these tiny bats live in caves and hunt for insects with remarkable efficiency. Despite their small size, just about 2 grams, they are perfectly adapted to their environment. The bumblebee bat demonstrates that nature's diversity includes even the tiniest of creatures, each playing an important role in the grand tapestry of life. Did you know that ancient maps showed sea monsters? During the age of exploration, when sailors had no idea what lay beyond the horizon, maps often depicted enormous sea monsters. The cartographers who created them frequently drew giant squids, whales, and snake-like creatures in the seas and oceans, warning future travelers of what lay ahead. Some monsters on these maps were inspired by real encounters with unknown sea creatures, while others were pure fantasy. For sailors of that time, a map was not just a guide but a warning about the dangers lurking beyond the known world. Millionaire without a million. How to get rich from scratch. Who would have thought that in today's world, you can become a millionaire without a single penny? The term millionaire has long been synonymous with wealth and success. But did you know that there's a phenomenon called a nillionaire, from the word nil, zero? This term describes people who, in reality, don't have a million or any significant capital, but live a lifestyle that suggests high status. This can be connected to borrowed funds, loans, or the creation of an impression of wealth, though there's no real capital behind it. In an age where social media can turn anyone into a star, this phenomenon is becoming increasingly relevant. Who would have thought that you can appear rich without having real wealth? How do you think the famous alien footsteps sound was made? One of the most memorable sounds in film is the footsteps of the alien from the iconic movie E.T., but how was it created? The answer will surprise you. This unique sound was made using regular jelly. Sound designers simply squished their hands in jelly to imitate the sticky footsteps of the alien. This fact showcases the brilliance and creativity of sound engineers who turn everyday items into amazing sound effects. Now, the next time you watch the movie, you won't be able to hear the alien's footsteps without a smile, knowing their jelly origin. Did you know that turtles can breathe through their butts? Yes, you heard that right. Turtles, especially species like the Fitzroy River turtle, can breathe through their cloaca, the opening they use for reproduction and waste excretion. This amazing ability helps turtles absorb oxygen from the water, allowing them to stay underwater for long periods. This process is called cloacal respiration, and it's yet another example of how unique and diverse survival methods are in the animal kingdom. So next time you see a turtle, remember that it's a true master of breathing from both ends. What if I told you the largest family in the world has more than 180 members? In India, the world's largest family, led by Ziona Chana, consists of 39 wives, 94 children, 14 daughters-in-law, and 33 grandchildren. They all live together in a 4-story house with 100 rooms and a shared kitchen. This family belongs to a Christian sect that allows polygamy, and despite their large size, they live harmoniously under one roof. This incredible family is truly a dynasty that amazes and inspires people around the world. One spaghetti noodle is called spaghetto. Spaghetti is one of the world's most popular dishes, but did you know that if you have just one noodle, it's called a spaghetto? This quirky grammar twist adds a touch of loneliness to an otherwise delicious meal. So, if you ever find yourself dining alone on a single strand of spaghetti, don't feel bad. You're just following proper Italian grammar rules. Italian grammar makes food not only delicious, but also a little more poetic. Did you know ketchup was originally sold as medicine? In the 19th century, ketchup was considered not just a tasty condiment, but a real medicine. It was developed as a remedy for digestive problems and sold in pharmacies. Imagine going in for stomach relief and getting a bottle of ketchup. Today it seems strange, as we are used to ketchup on burgers and fries, but its journey from pharmacies to kitchens was surprisingly interesting. Did you know your brain consumes 20% of your body's energy? Despite accounting for only 2% of your body weight, the brain consumes a whopping 20% of all the energy your body produces. This means that every time you think hard or solve complex tasks, your brain is working like an energy-hungry organ. Next time you feel mentally exhausted, remember, your brain is truly burning calories, as if it's training for a marathon. Why is there a village in China where nearly everyone lives past 100 years? In the Chinese village of Bama, nearly every other resident lives to be 100 years old or more. Scientists believe it's due to the clean air, mineral-rich water, and a diet rich in local herbs and vegetables. The locals also lead active lives, working physically well into old age. Tourists come here hoping to learn the secrets of longevity, but the villagers say the key is harmony with nature and a positive outlook. Hell freezes over, every year. Believe it or not, there's a town in Norway called Hell, and it literally freezes over every winter. This is not a joke, it's a real place on the map. And although the town is quite small, it attracts tourists every year thanks to its unusual name. Due to Norway's cold climate, Hell is covered in ice and snow every winter, often sparking jokes. "When hell freezes over" is a phrase that is rather common for the residents of this town. So if you want to see hell for yourself, head to Norway in the winter and watch it freeze over. Why do you think there is a skyscraper in Spain that stands empty? In Benidorm, Spain, there is a famous skyscraper called In Tempo, which was planned as a residential complex. However, construction ended without considering several crucial details, including elevators that do not reach the top floors. Despite its grandeur, the building remains empty because it is unfit for use. It has now become a symbol of planning errors and a reminder of the importance of considering every detail in architecture. How about this? In Turkey, there is an ancient underground city that could hold over 20,000 people. Derinkuyu is one of the largest and most mysterious underground cities in the world. It was built thousands of years ago in Cappadocia and consists of several levels deep underground. For centuries, the city was used as a refuge during wars and raids. It included everything needed for life: living quarters, wineries, churches, ventilation shafts, and even schools. The city was discovered accidentally in 1963, and to this day, archaeologists have not fully explored all of its secrets. Have you ever thought about the fact that you can see a double rainbow on Mars? Surprisingly, it's true. On Mars, you can sometimes witness not just one, but a double rainbow. However, these aren't the rainbows we're used to seeing on Earth. The Martian atmosphere is so thin that ordinary raindrops don't form, but rainbows can appear due to fine dust and ice crystals floating in the air. Even though there's no rain on Mars, these dusty rainbows look particularly mesmerizing. But if you want to see one, you'll have to wait. Martian weather phenomena happen very rarely. What if I told you there's an island in Japan covered in volcanic ash? Sakurajima Island in Japan is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. Eruptions occur so frequently that a layer of volcanic ash covers the entire island. Local residents have adapted to living in these conditions, and the island even has special machines to clean volcanic ash from the streets. Despite the constant threat, this island is home to thousands of people and a popular tourist destination. Turns out, Che Guevara was a medical student. Before becoming one of the most influential figures in revolutionary history, Ernesto Che Guevara was studying medicine in Buenos Aires. In his youth, he was filled with a desire to help people, and his medical knowledge later helped him as he became a symbol of the fight for freedom. Who would have thought that a medical student would one day become an icon of world revolution? His drive for justice manifested even in his pursuit to heal people, whether physically or politically. How did the term honeymoon originate, and what does it have to do with honey? The term honeymoon traces back to ancient Babylonian culture. It turns out that after a wedding, The bride's father would provide the newlyweds with a month's supply of honey and mead, a fermented honey drink. This ritual was believed to ensure happiness and fertility in the early days of marriage. Because of this tradition, the first month of marriage became known as the honeymoon, and this idea has endured through the ages, becoming a symbol of romantic getaways for newlyweds. Did you know there is no concept of sound in space? The vacuum of space does not transmit sound waves because there are no molecules to carry them. This means that explosions or loud events in space, like in sci-fi movies, would actually be silent. If you found yourself in open space, you'd see flashes and movements, but you'd hear absolutely nothing. So space isn't just dark, it's also eerily quiet. How can mysterious desert music frighten even the bravest? In the Sahara and other large sand deserts, you can hear an extraordinary sound often called the singing sands. When the wind blows over the surface of the dunes, the sand emits a deep hum, as if an orchestra is playing an invisible symphony. This sound can be so powerful that it can be heard for miles. Some researchers think the sound is caused by the sand moving across the slopes, while local tribes believe it is the voices of desert spirits guarding their lands. What is a clouder? Meet a group of cats. Have you ever wondered what a group of cats is called? It turns out, the proper term is clouder. This quirky word is used to describe several cats gathered together. There are other terms like glaring or pounce for groups of cats, but clouder sounds especially charming. The next time you see a bunch of cats hanging out, you can impress everyone with your knowledge of this unusual term. Who knew? A group of pugs is called a grumble. Pugs are already beloved for their cute and quirky personalities, but did you know that a group of pugs is called a grumble? This charming term perfectly suits their adorable and sometimes noisy nature. When several pugs gather, it's a delightful sight and sound, a small grumble of little doggy characters, bringing joy and humor to any scene.